ready to read and jump back into the book. The next book. So start something. So anything except putting food to your mouth. Ooh, 25. Ain't that easy? It was easy. 25 things. 25 things. 9, 12, 9, 12. We kicked off. Let's get it started. This episode of Reading with SHILO and finish. The next couple of stories of who blessed you. And Matthew and Azaniah Israel. 3 relationships that transformed my life, and each of these exact number I haven't been keeping up on. I just been trying to read. We're tailing the bag. Hutchinson, looking at it right. Yeah, we might. Yeah. 1 a.m. Noel. We'll do both of it. We'll do all 3 of them. And that'll leave us with two more to finish off the book at the next episode or session of Reading with SHILO. But man, excuse me right quick. I'm gonna run over, grab me a bottle of water right fast, and I'm gonna be right back. Hey, don't go nowhere. Oh, shit. All right, I'm back. Thank you. My apologies. Got me some water. Now we can begin. Who blessed you? Speaking to the children, curated by George Frazier and Stan Matthews and Azaniah Israel. Who blessed you? Stephen Hutchinson. Gratitude in action. Let's see Mr. Hutchinson talking about. Bernard Hutchinson Jr., my daddy. I loved him desperately. I needed him desperately. He was my hero, my protector, my hope of things to be. Yet there he lay lifeless, skull crushed, throat cut, teeth missing. They called it robbery. I was 4. Obviously, I did not have much experience with my dad, but the impression he left on me was profound. I avoided talking about my dad for decades. I believe this was due to a deep sense of shame and bewilderment. When my friends spoke of their fathers and mothers, I just wanted to ghost that subject altogether. I felt unexplainable deep insecurity in myself for decades. Though my father did not physically survive that senseless attack, he survived in my subconscious. I knew he existed. I knew he loved me. I knew he cared for me. I knew he watched over me. I just knew this instinctively though not consciously. This awareness validated my Africanness, my ancestral continuity. This love acknowledgement had been missing in my consciousness for the infinite time. I've learned that my ancestors are me on the other side, and I am them on this side. Inadvertently, my dad is still educating me. I discovered as an adult that I was angry with my father and mother, now both ancestors. Angry is a powerful emotion. Excuse me, anger is a powerful emotion. It's like fire. It brings heat and light to a situation. I, for one, did not consciously know I was angry with them. I also did not know why. I discovered I was angry because I felt abandoned as a child, so I never spoke of them. As a result of this subliminal anger, I developed a personality disorder called passive aggressive personality disorder. Passive aggressive behavior is meant to avoid direct confrontation with things that bother me. And instead, I lash out indirectly so no one can recognize my anger, even myself. My daddy loved my mother tremendously. He loved the idea of a stable two-parent family as he was from one himself. He gave my mother two children, my baby sister Bernadette and myself. My mother had 7 children. Damn. My father, Bernard Hutchinson Jr., is my hero. He wasn't a savvy, worldly man. My daddy was naive in early ways. He was not a slickster, smooth talker, or womanizer. He is from a two-parent household, a man who could love a woman, give her children, and accept and love her other children while working to build a secure family culture for them all. Shit, that ain't no damn two-parent household. Not in my mind. Shit. Not with no other children involved. It might be the way it is these days, but that's not how. Shit. I don't know what that's ideal. I don't know where that was ideal at. My daddy was obsessed with my mother, which may have proved to be a weakness for him. He wanted to be with her more than she did him. According to lore, my daddy risked his life on occasion to fight other men whom my mother wanted to entertain. Don't do it, daddy. My daddy genuinely wanted to rescue my mother and her children from insecurity, abuse, rambling, abandonment, and exploitation. He worked in a factory and attempted to provide for us. Unfortunately, he was injured on the job and was compensated with a $5,000 check. Candy store where all my brothers and sisters could work and earn money and have their own business. He also decided to get a 6-bedroom apartment to house my mother and all her children. This was a dream come true, but a cruel betrayal was to take place. Shit. There was a man whose name I refused to repeat that was framed as my daddy's friend. His wife was framed as my mother's friend, and he had a son whom I was told was my friend. I don't know if my daddy ever saw the betrayal coming, but lust for this money drove the so-called friend to arrange the most horrendous act imaginable. That man arranged the murder of my daddy, the murder of our opportunity to be a united family, the murder of our dream to be a loving and protected family for $5,000. My dad is my hero because he, in all his inadequacy, he dared to care for my mother. He dared to care for his children. He dared to care for my brothers and sisters. He dared to move us from instability to stability. He dared to start a business in 1963. He dared to love my mother. He dared to love us. He dared to live. At age 63, my bond with my daddy was growing on a healthy vine. I am invigorated to therapize through writing about my root connection with my hero. My daddy is the vehicle through which nature and God chose to send me through in the seedling state. My mother once told me the name of a man who murdered my daddy. Excuse me, not a man, the name of the man who murdered my daddy. Where he was, and that I should go after him when I reached the age of 13. My mother transitioned when I was 13, and I never pursued that murder. I still think about that day when she told me that. My takeaway is that despite my daddy's inadequacies and naivety and obsession with my mother, he attempted the ideal and to love my mother. He tried to love and care for his children and our brothers and sisters, start a family-owned business, and be a father. In my heart of hearts, he succeeded in all his failed attempts. He succeeded in reminding me to be honest with myself, setting an example of a man who loves his woman, in bidding in me the memory of a man who would face danger to have a family, in being the vehicle that brought me here to execute my mission, in bearing his memory deep in my subconscious. He succeeded in molding me into a person of gratitude. And I love you, Daddy. Mr. Listervilt Middleton. Mr. Listervilt Middleton. Guide to my African awakening. I was a rebellious child at 14, attempting to grow up in New York City. Consequently, I was labeled a ward of the state and sent to a boarding school for juvenile delinquents. After my mother died in hospice at 42, I was a chronic runaway with nowhere to run. I just thought if I kept running, I would get there, wherever there was. After experiencing child abuse at the Queen's Shelter for Children, I was hauled off the St. Peter's School for Wayward Children in Peekskill, New York. It was there I met Mr. Listervilt Middleton, the poet, scholar, broadcaster, interviewer, Black nationalist, historian, and counselor. I had no idea who he was. I had never met a person like him before. Brother Listervilt Middleton was a counselor there. He walked tall and proud. He exhibited self-pride and taught us through his words and deeds self-determination, race pride, and Black history, aka African history. I remember the Folion classes he taught us. And I might not be pronouncing that right. Folion. F capital, all caps. Faliyon, if you want to look it up. Faliyon. Folion classes he taught us. In these classes, he taught us historical context, and he put life events into perspective. He even taught us greetings in Swahili, jumbo, si jumbo, and si jumbo nawawaja, wawaja, wee na wee jahi, si jumbo and si jumbo na wee ja. He taught us about our struggle as a people. Brother Middleton taught us our African history intentionally, deeply, emotionally, intellectually, genuinely, and with profound urgency. He was not perfect, no man is, but he was that sported a dark chocolate complexion. Recently, I learned of his international exploits in the media, where he interviewed the great godlike personalities of whom I presently read. You still can find his conversations on YouTube interviewing the likes of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Shak Anta Diop, Dr. Ivan van Sertima, Dr. Naim Akbar, Dr. Charles Finch, Dr. Edward Scobie, Dr. Yosef Ben Yohanna, Dr. John J. Jackson, Dr. Molife K. Asante, Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Asa Hillard, James Baldwin, Dr. Sterling Stuckey, and I have no idea of the impact Mr. Middleton was having on me and on our culture and on our world. He was a mighty intellectual and activist. He was born in 1952 in Pineville, South Carolina. He was the news director at WOIC in Columbia, South Carolina, and worked with the South Carolina Education Television in 1977. He produced and hosted EVT's award-winning program For the People, which aired in Detroit, Memphis, Washington, D.C., Barbados, Virginia, and Atlanta. He addressed the African origin of humanity and the African origin of civilization. In addition, he was a prolific writer and highly respected poet. He was a relentless advocate for the clarification of the myths about Black people. His presence in my life at that time was crucial, though I did not consciously know it. He was recently reincarnated in my life on YouTube as I research, investigate, inquire, question, study, and listen for the accurate historical understanding of myself and my people. He is still a source of valuable, pertinent information. He is still sitting, questioning, documenting, and receiving knowledge from these very personalities with whom I am still familiarizing myself. I owe great reverence and gratitude to my counselor, guide, example, and true leader, Mr. Listerville Middleton. I was led to my path, to my ancestors, elders, guards, protectors, great ancestors. Thanks to the warriors like Brother Listerville Middleton from 1952 to 1996, who fought in broad daylight against our natural enemy. Mr. Middleton revolutionized my conscious understanding of myself as a human being with purpose, history, and mission. Forever live, my brother. I'm trying to do my part like Mr. Middleton. And what did he say? I'm trying to fight in broad daylight with every word read. Every step of growth I make, I'm trying to bust the enemy inside his head. Oh, you sorry sucker. Bust a jive turkey upside his head. Oh, man. Roy Hayes. When the student is ready, the teacher appears, literally. There is a difference between jail and prison, which I learned the hard way. I was a precocious 17-year-old teenager. I love reading authors like Donald Goines, author of Whore's Son and Black Gangster, Iceberg Slim, author of Pimp, Claude Brown, author of Man-Child in the Promised Land, and Pyrie Thomas, author of Down These Mean Streets. The subtext of these books was like scripts inside my young mind. Unbeknownst to me, I was being programmed. The Black exploitation books and the Black exploitation movies worked over time on my young, pliable, receptive subconscious mind. I was seeking an identity, and these colorful, rebellious, exciting characters in these books and films stimulated my imagination. I began to believe I was like these characters. I was wrong, but would learn that the hard way. Unbeknownst to me, I was on my way to prison. I met Roy Hayes, or Mr. Hayes as I called him, when we first met. When I got out of prison in February of 1979, I was determined to never go back to prison and to never lose my freedom and independence again. He helped me solidify that reality. He was a teacher at the New York Business School. I wanted to be an entrepreneur and learn to understand money. Money was an enigma to me, and Roy was articulate, slight build, meticulous, humorous, insightful, perceptive, and friendly. I was looking for a father, a friend, a mentor, someone I could trust and who could guide me over the treacherous waters of the New York City life and adolescence. This was indeed a frightening challenge for me. See, Roy Hayes was a light for me. I had so many characters I did not recognize nor want to recognize. Roy was able to see my potential behind those embarrassing traits and miraculously encouraged me while revealing my flaws to me. I learned a great deal about trust from our friendship because he trusted me and trusted my opinion at times when I was in doubt. Roy respect represents my first adult relationship of trust. This was new to me. Meanwhile, I was still struggling to trust myself. I was 19 years old. He was someone who could have meaningful conversations with anyone, and I was amazed at how he could do that. I would feel threatened by someone's persona, and Roy would just converse with them as though he personally knew them, which he did not. His sense of perception was so accurate of how to perceive challenges, something which I was incapable of doing before. This sense of perception was a superpower for me. I gained a great deal of confidence because of these lessons. One of his favorite statements was, principally, everything is the same. To this day, I am still exploring the implications of that principle. I was able to give me a 30,000-foot overview. He repeatedly reminded me that all things are transient. I had spent 6 months on the Rikers Island jail and 18 months in Elmira State Penitentiary before meeting Roy. My personality had quite a few rough edges. I would often tell people that I was formerly in prison, and Roy would gently remind me not to inform random people of that fact, and I accepted his advice. Roy was able to reinforce my sense of self-worth by valuing our friendship and by extension valuing me, which sense but dared not directly address. Sometimes the best way to show someone you have faith in them is by allowing them to resolve complex issues independently. I learned the importance of accepting advice from trusted sources from Roy. I grew up and grew introverted in New York City. New York City is an extremely harsh and unforgiving environment where attack without provocation is imminent. Roy was a direct contrast to this raw, uncouth environment. He was a sensitive personality, but was not vulnerable to ad hominem attacks. He was friendly, but not naive, approachable, but aware of the intentions of others, insightful, but not afraid. I don't remember telling Roy about my battle with suicidal thoughts. My awareness of my feelings of depression became overwhelming and out of control. It was a frightening phase of life for me. I needed constant reassurance that I was okay, and I was seeking that validation in every way possible. In retrospect, I needed continuity in my relation to family, friends, and associates. My friend Roy made it through one of the most challenging experiences of my life. Though life challenges have not and will not cease, thanks to Mr. Roy Hayes, I am equipped to put shit into perspective. Thanks to my relationship, even at the peril of others. Though I did not have time to mature my relationship with her, I love my mother dearly, deeply, and sincerely, and I miss her madly. My gratitude for those who crossed my path, chastised, schooled, times confused, taught, and scared me is growing as I write. First, I will name some of those who are ancestors. Dr. Francis Cress Wilson taught me to use my brain computer. Dr. Chok Antidiop taught me to think analytically, deeply, and historically. Dr. Naim Akbar taught me to acknowledge and break the chains on my brain. Dr. Amos Wilson taught me to analyze those who analyze me. James Baldwin taught me of the righteousness of anger towards those who intentionally and continually harm me. Dr. Khalid Muhammad taught me that anything worth dying for is worth killing for. Malcolm X taught me to stare my opponent in the eye. Srila Prabhupada taught me of transcendence. Dr. John Henry Clark taught me to use my talent as a weapon for my people. I like that one. What is your talent? Because it made me think about this reading. I'm going to use it. If it is a talent, I'm sure trying to reuse it against my enemy and those that hate my people. Coming after you with this reading shit, boy. Oh, you better watch yourself. I'm gonna read. Dr. Ben taught me to overthrow and take power from the hands of evildoers. And Dr. Bobby Wright taught me that the opponents of nature are psychopathic. I have gratitude and obeisance. Obeisance glamour, not glamour. Obeisance galore for Dr. George Frazier, the two-time Lifetime Achievement Award winner and warrior for Black people. Mr. Stan Matthews, the inimitable CEO and founder of MBN. Dr. Boyce Watkins, the financial warrior. Dr. Claude Anderson, the financial general and author of Powernomics. Through these statements, I prostrate myself and my life before the altar of time, energy, and the development of consciousness. Be powerful. I am the result of a cause and an effort. Therefore, I am the cause of other efforts, of other effects and results. Let me read that again. I am the result of a cause and an effect. Therefore, I am the cause of other effects and results. Therefore, I acknowledge my responsibility to be cautious in exercising my potency. As a result of the powerful union of my mother and father, the powerful synergy of 1 + 1 resulted in another one, and you could say 1 + 1 total 3. The 3 being me. Born this time, my man, I just thought about Terrence Howard and the math he was talking about. Sorry. Born this time in 1959 in New York City in the midst of some rather wild karma, I survived the delicate and vulnerable stages of embryo, infancy, childhood, teenage, and adulthood. I have traveled to all 50 states and have traveled internationally. I spent 5 years in India, practicing yoga and meditation, studying the 5 major world religions. I also spent one night in Bangkok. My compassion to understand money, combined with my passion to give back to my people, generated the Money Class channel on YouTube. As a tax professional, I discovered another way to serve my people and generate revenue. I have been imprisoned in more ways than one, and my adventure called life has continuously revealed ways to free myself, my mind, and my proverbial ass. I recently realized that my parents not only gave birth to a baby, but to a mind. That mind is what I will continue to develop and offer back to them as an offering of love, appreciation, and gratitude. Mr. Steve Hutchinson. Mr. Ralph Henderson. I listened to my mother, May Lana Connor, introducing the mother of this humble servant. She simply did for this son that which every mother endeavors to do for for their children. She is the most influential because she taught me that every parent owes their children everything, and the child owes the parent nothing. She was forever putting me in the best possible circumstances to achieve superior goals. It began with her decision to be my mother rather than the girlfriend and then wife of my father. I remember the day she explained to me why we were leaving my father. This is the point where she stopped accepting gifts and overtures of love and focused on my education and enrichment. Her proactive actions and finished with a life lesson that would allow me to become the better son and then a better man. She taught me how to have ambition and achieve great heights. She held me accountable for every circumstance I would find myself. She was principled in every way, and best part of our relationship that I was certain that she was the person on earth least trying to hurt me. As a result, she taught me patience and listening. She explained that you have to listen to, led by example, by barely graduating from high school and then attending community college and graduating from New York University with a degree in education. She put her life on the back burner by all indications, so it was almost a mandate that I go at least as far as she did educationally. She supported everything ambition that I had, and she did not always understand the goals I made for myself, but she was excellent at making support of those goals as directive for the both of us. Her personality was brusque, and her communication style was extremely direct. She instructed me to look people in the eye and not blink, literally and virtually. She instructed me to be a man in all circumstances and know that I had a duty to humanity to try and leave this world a little better than I found it. She explained that I was the best and the brightest, and I had a nobility that required me to lift all boats. She made me eligible to approach and be accepted by the next person that was most influential. The result of a chance encounter in which I met a high school classmate of hers. I picked his name at my random because he was from Philly. I figured he was probably a cool frog. I grew up achieving professional development as well as father friendship. And put a home. She extracted from me a level of development that I had not realized I had available. She taught and assisted me in every aspect of my growth as a man. For selfish reasons, of course. And when there was so much that was great inside me. And then information technology. I want to do that. Influential personality. She explained that I am not just one thing. I am many things. She gave me what I wanted to be. She gave me the impetus to be all that I could and wanted to be. She inspired and encouraged me to remember engineering school, where I was taking multiple technical classes and multiple math classes every semester. She reminded me of the simple power of my thoughts and ambitions. These are powers she marshaled in me with the simple that was nothing, that there was nothing by but faith in me to take. She inspired me to become something she never seemed to be interested in, becoming a full-time mom. Even though she missed her professional endeavors, she became an amazing mom. She learned about her challenges at least as much as I about mine. She continues to inspire me today because she has been stricken with Alzheimer's disease and faces it with nothing but strength and dignity. She is aware of her condition, and she has never asked why me. I am only hoping to be a fraction of the person that she is going forward. Ralph Edward Henderson, Jr., mine, is the simplest of stories. It can be summed up by declaring here that I listened to my mother. She instructed me, and I followed her instructions simply because she was never going to hurt me. That being said, it all started in the Head Start in Harlem, New York. I went to a school in Harlem for 2 years and then moved to Montessori School for 2 years, directed by graduate students at Columbia University. The school closed and then off to Catholic school for a year, then a public school in Riverdale, New York for a year, junior high school for 2 years in Riverdale, New York, and off to the Bronx High School of Science. I attended the Polytechnic Institute, where I earned a degree in nuclear engineering. I went to work at the engineering architectural firm Combustion Engineering, bought by ASEA Brown Boveri. Got an opportunity to be employed at the largest nuclear utility in the world in Arizona Public Service. From there, I decided to change directions and become an IT consultant, become a very competent and sought-after consultant. And in that space, Pat was stricken with Alzheimer's, and I stopped working to take care of her. I looked around for a new profession, tried some things, and settled on life insurance. This was a natural fit because I use life insurance in my personal finances and estimate planning. I also became the CFO of the Matthews Broadcast, aka the Matthews Business Network, that's MBN. And at this point, the story is still being written. And that was Ralph Henderson. Ralph Henderson. We're going to go on in just a second. I'll read this orange. And we're going to read about Anthony Maria A.M. Noel. Man. Well, baby, I'm out you. Man, the orange is good. I love me a good orange, man. Oh, man. I love me a good orange, man. Oh, man. I love me some good fruits. Good orange, good peach. Oh, man. Good watermelon. Mm-hmm. I got one in the refrigerator. I gotta cut. Oh. I gotta cut. Oh. Oh shit, I forgot to plug this one. Anthony Maria A. Well. Have you ever heard this? Go ahead. I don't know. Leave. The path opens up for you. Lourdes Mary Elizabeth. My mother was one of 13 children. When the country was called Malaya, I'm gonna pronounce that shit wrong. I just can't even think. The tradition is marriage was arranged by the elders of the respective families. I like that. I like that. It needs to still happen today. I like that. Oh, I got somebody fun. Shabazz. Oh man. Oh shit. Ooh, hey, you want to be mad? Call Shabazz. As she and her sister approached marriageable age, they were betrothed to men selected by the family or matchmakers. This was the time when all marriages were arranged. Her sister was proposed to my father, but the moment my father saw my mom, he knew she was the one he wanted to marry, and to the fiery consternation of the rest of the family, they felt the guts she had to buck the system and trounce age-old norms was the first and most inspiring thing about my mother, Lourdes Mary Elizabeth. The couple went on to have several children. I was ninth of the batch of 10 children. The child Catherine died after 3 days. Scores of grandchildren and many great-grandchildren. All told, that were about 122 direct descendants of that union between Lourdes Mary and my father, Anthony Sammy. A lasting legacy. Whew, I like the sound of that. I like that. 120. The army of SHILOs. Come on. I like that shit. Hurry up. Line up. Go left. Go left. Go left. Right. All them SHILOs walking down the street. Oh, Lord. Oh, the army. SHILOs is the army. They need it. "122 direct descendants of the union between Lourdes Mary and my father, Anthony Sammy. A lasting legacy. Lasting legacy. Challenges of World War I. After Dad came home just a few days before my eldest sister, Mary Teresa's wedding, an arson by a jealous relative burned part of our house and left us in extreme poverty. She kept her children safe and the family together, getting all of them married off successfully. I don't think I had ever seen my mother agitated. Her deep faith in God and love for her family kept her in a perpetual state of serenity. My father presented her with a different kind of challenge, as difficult as all the others. And during the Second World War, Dr. Subha Chandra Bose from India came to Malaya to recruit. Immediately said yes to the Indian Army and approached my mom and asked if she had any valuables she could donate to the cause. The only thing she had of worth was her wedding gold chain. She immediately took it off and gave it to him, and he went to war. Joined under the woman's wing under Jan Janice Srini, and sold uniforms for the soldiers. And at this time, her oldest son was only 12, and she took him off school because he was the only one who could earn money to buy food for the 4 children. And for 4 years, there was no salary, no electricity, no proper water system. And she had to think of creative ways to feed the 4 children, never in the process losing her calm. My sister learned how to grow tapioca. That was a stable food during the war. I don't like no tapioca. I don't like no tapioca. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. My mother woke up at 4 each morning, cooked breakfast for my father, then the children. My father returned home at 6 o'clock each evening, had dinner that she had prepared, and then left each night to work as a negotiator for the railway union. As the number of children grew, she had to cook for 9 children, making sure that we had the adequate sustenance to keep us alert in school. And in 1963, she took 4 of us to India for our education and spent 5 years in India. Because of our difficulties with language and the climate, she fell sick and put my brother Mogan Chandra Das in boarding school in India and went back to Malaysia. She went on to mass every day and said the rosary every single day before going to bed at 10 p.m. or later. My mother was the queen of one-liner wisdom that she instilled in us so deeply that I still remember them. Her favorite saying to all of us were, "Tell the truth and shame the devil. A stitch in time saves 9. With God, anything is possible. Keep away from people who don't make you feel good. Do unto others what you want done to you. Live within your means. Live within your means. Measure many times and cut only once." Oh, that's a carpenter's. I need to live more by that, but I've heard that one many times and I've used it. I need to live more by that one. Measure many times and cut only once. Measure many times and cut. And cut only once. Yeah, because you can't put it back together. I guess we don't need Indian names right now. Ding, 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 ding. No. Savramuthi Anthony Sami. The story begins with this kid in a tiny village in India who lived to play. The head student was sent to find this kid. The kid noticed the head student year's name was Savramuthi Anthony Sami. On hearing his name, this kid went into the village lake, would jump into the lake, hold his breath as long as he could, and slowly peek out the lake to make sure no one was there, especially the head student. He would run into paddy fields and play with the goats and ride on top of the cow like a horse. Seeing the poverty in the village, when he was 7 years old, his family traveled on a ship for 10 days and moved to Malaysia. This kid is none other than my father. When he first came to Malaysia, someone brought a stool to sit on. He climbed on the stool and squatted, and everyone laughed. He could not understand why. He had never seen stools in his life because people squatted on the floor in India. The only time he went to school was to give speeches later in life. His accomplishments Love and marriage to my mom when most marriages were arranged. Married for 67 years. Had 10 children. So I like that right there. Them, man. I don't mind the arrangement, but the 67 years and the 10 children, man. Food in the Indian National Army. Fought in the Second World War. United the Indian community together. A founding member of the Malaysian Indian Congress. Was instrumental in gaining independence from Malaysia. Met the first Prime Minister of Malaysia. Won several awards for various leadership roles. Given the title of PPN from the King of Malaysia. Organized the biggest strike in Malaysia and moved from the daily wages to monthly wages. What I learned from him, grateful. Deal with what is given to you. Be brave and take risk. Travel the world. Never stop working. Go the extra mile. And Mary Teresa. One of the biggest inspirations of my life is my sister, Mary Teresa. Her eldest son, Dr. Charles Arokia-Sammy, is also very important to me. Almost an extension of her influence. Being almost of the same age, Charles was 8 months older than I. We grew up together. From childhood, Charles has been a mentor up to this very day. Mary Teresa was the oldest of 9 siblings and, in the real sense, my second mother. I had always called her Big Mummy, picking up from Charles and his siblings, who called her Mummy. Big Mummy. She had a heart of gold. She treated me as one of her own. She borrowed money and bought me and Charles our first notebook. I was probably 5 years old. She taught us how to write the letters of the alphabet, and we spent the entire day writing the alphabet multiple times till I finished the entire notebook. I saw my very first television set in her house. She bought an old car, hired a driver, went to the rough states and taught the uneducated people how to plan family and life. No matter what time of the day, anyone who came to her household could count on being served delicious food. I used to bring all kinds of strangers, and she would never complain and always had an excellent meal, even though her family was poor. That meant, of course, she often went without food herself. Everyone she met was special, and she treated everyone the same as royalty. Big Mummy was indefatigable, 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 indefatigable. I know I'm saying this shit wrong, man. Damn, man. Indefatigable. Big Mummy was. Let's see. Let's look it up. INDEFATIGABLE. Fatigue, not fatigue, indefatigable, indefatigable. See what the hell this shit is. Let's see if it's in this damn dictionary. I hate when I come across words like that I cannot pronounce or stumble and struggle with. I gotta look the hell up. It's in here. Indefatigable. Indefatigable. Impossible to tire. Impossible to tire out. Indefatigable. It's fatigue. Indefatigable. Indefatigable. Maybe it's pronounced indefatigable. I don't know. I know it has something to do with fatigue. Fatigue is tiring. Tiring has something to do with being tired. It means you can't tire him out. Indefatigable. Or is it indefatigable? Maybe indefatigable. Anyway. Big Mummy was indefatigable. Indefatigable. Rising at 4 or 5 in the morning to do the massive amount of laundry of all her siblings and her children by hand. Even the day after she delivered one of her children, she was back at work the very next day. Of course, when the clothes were dried on the clotheslines in the Malaysian sun, she had to collect them and iron them in the afternoon using a metal iron with red hot coals on its base, in its base. Cleanliness was important to her because being almost obsessive. She taught us cleanliness and kept everything arranged and clean. Anything that she started, she would not stop till it was completed and done to the best of her ability. It was rare to see her not doing something. Tireless, Big Mummy would never stop teaching herself new things all the time. She learned Japanese during the Japanese occupation during World War II. She taught herself Punjabi and Hindi when she had Punjabi neighbors. She taught herself knitting and made scarves and baby socks for women in her family who recently had children. She always had our children. She had always had other children living in her house, caring for them when her family had difficulties. See, I like that. I like that she learned and did those things. And that's kind of along the lines of what I'm trying to do. I like that. You know, you have a library for a reason. This is what the library is for. Is to get the books and learn the things in the book and apply, use the things in the book. Don't just, let it sit there and do nothing with it. That's why I learned carpentry for, to build shit. I'm trying to build some shit. I'm not just trying to, just look at stuff. I want to make things. I want to do things. I have stuff in my mind. If I could, like that, that carving up there that I'm not done with. that I need to finish and paint, and so you can see what it is more clearer and love to get out. But I don't want it just to draw it on no paper, But these are things I have to learn. These are things I've been learning myself. Even the reading back, as much as I am reading, it's teaching myself. It's teaching myself something. How to be a better orator, be more confident in my reading ability, up my reading skills and vocabulary as well. Yeah, it takes some doing, some shit I don't like to do, but hey, teach yourself. Teach yourself. You can do it. You have all you need to succeed. You can do it. Anyway, let's get back to Big Mummy, who taught herself Japanese and knitting. Many of my nephews and nieces were raised by her, all calling her Big Mummy. When everyone was in the community was cooking, Their ethnic treats for religious festivals like Christmas, Chinese New Year, and Hari Raya for Muslims. Hari Raya for Muslims. She taught herself Western baking and taught the neighborhood to bake cakes and cookies. Sometimes people would place orders with her for cakes and cookies, even up to 5,000 pineapple jam tarts that she would bake and deliver in a day or two. This was supplemental income for her to feed her family because she often had neighbors in her house learning how to bake. Her house almost always had the smell of something baking. As baking technology evolved, she taught herself to use the her own makeshift ovens. That's my type of woman right there. I like that. All the children helped with mixing the dough and beating egg whites. Big Mommy taught me how to treat everyone with full respect and to love even people that harm us. Her principle was that everyone should look at and be the best. I can't recall her saying no to anyone. I remember her giving away her own son's best clothes to me because they looked better on me. She used to tell us to always be early to everything in life and made sure we loved everyone. This section of the book is dedicated to roughly 70,000 generations that it took to make who I am today and the rest of my life on this planet. I am also dedicated to my daughter, Sarawati Noel, son, Jivan Noel, and every single person that will be coming to this planet. In short, every living object yet to come. Most important of all, to the person who is and will be reading this after I have left this planet. Remember, you are unique and special. You are the one the future generations are waiting for. Anyone can save anyone, anytime. When you conceive and believe, the path opens up for you. And the one reading this now, Anthony Maria A.M. Noel was born in 1953, the ninth child of a family of 10, and grew up in Malaysia, except for in India. His passion was to make a difference. He ended up and realized that his passion was to help people directly and joined the ICA, spending 15 years, 20 different countries on 5 continents. He now resides in Washington, D.C. with his wife. Noel has 2 children, a daughter, Saraswati Noel, who is finishing her doctoral studies in math education in Washington State, and a son, Javine Noel, who is a triathlete. And that was Anthony Noel. That was just dry. And we did 3 today. We did 3 people today. We did 3 today. Anthony Maria Noel, Ralph Henderson, and Stephen Hutchinson. And we have 2 more to go. We got 2 more to go to finish the book. Dr. Renee Tingila and Michelle Walker Davis. Those will be the last 2. And we'll be finished with the book. We'll be finished with the book, another book, Assassinated, to go on the kill list. Put them on the kill list. 23. Hitting the Jordan on them boys. Jordan. Oh, Jordan on the book, Assassinated. Yeah. That man on Israel, who blessed you. 3 relationships that transformed my life by 20 empowering stories of wisdom, love, and salvation. Who blessed you? Well, we started this thing with 25. Let's end it with 25. Get your behind up. Let's do something. Let's try to make a difference in our lives. Let's do something. Do something. I should do this 50 maybe. Let's see. We're gonna try. We're gonna do something. We're gonna do something. Let's do it. 25 things. 25 things. All right. Let's get that done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Get the weight off you. Let's push. Get moving. Let's do something. Do something. 25 in, 25 out. 25 in, 25 out. We're going to try to keep that going. We're going to try to keep that going. Just like we're going to try to keep reading consistent. A little physical, a little mental. On Reading with Shiloh. What up, baby? Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. I'd like to thank everybody that stopped by. Thank everybody that catch you on the back end. Like, comment, subscribe. Share your thoughts. Do you have some who bless you? Who bless you in your head? Who blessed you? And, are you living with your purpose? Are you living with your purpose? In your purpose? Do you know what your purpose is? What you're doing with yourself? We have to have some motion. Some motion. Forward motion is better. But motion is motion. I want to lay down on your ass. Let's get up. Let's do something. Let's have some growth. Let's have some growth. Let's get it. One day at a time. One book at a time. One session at a time. One section at a time. One chapter at a time. And try to apply those things in our life. And today's book was Who Blessed You? My brother Azaniah Israel. And curated by George Fraser and Stan Matthews. Speaking to the children of Israel. And the destroyer of worlds, Mr. SHILO right here. SHILO. I'm out here. I'm going to keep doing my thing. One book at a time. Destroying this humbug of the world. The next book on the list, man, we're going to go ahead and jump into that, man, medical apartheid. That's what we're going to hurry up and knock that one out the way. I don't say hurry up, but we're going to hurry up and get to that one and try to knock that one out. Medical apartheid. Hope you're ready. I'm ready. I don't think it's going to be a laughing matter, but it might be some funny shit to me now. We're going to see. Hey, till next time, man. Shalom, everybody. Keep pushing. Take it one day at a time, man. One day at a time. You have everything you need to succeed. Let's push. Let's make a difference. Let's be better than we was yesterday. You have the ability to do it. Let's go, man. Shalom. Shout out. Be on the lookout for the next episode of Reading with Shiloh. But we're going to finish this book.